Good evening, everyone. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin this evening in Cuba, where Cuban President Raul Castro has opened the 5th Cuba-Caribbean Summit in Havana. The meeting aims to strengthen ties between the participating countries. At the tri-annual meeting, the countries aim to increase integration in trade, education, and health. Castro reassured those present that despite national difficulties, the international commitment to the community will be firmly upheld. He also highlighted how CARICOM can help integrate other organizations in the region.
In particular, we must work collectively to confront the mechanism of domination imposed upon us by the unjust international financial system. We unite our voices with those of the Caribbean community to demand the immediate removal of our nations from unilateral lists which stand in the way of economic development and trade between our countries.
And to Mexico now. Parents of some of the missing 43 students have accepted the identification of the remains of one of the missing students. But they call on the government to continue searching for the rest of the students. The government says the students were murdered, burned, and dumped, but the parents are not convinced that the government has enough evidence to prove that claim.
We don't accept the theory of the case. We believe that the investigations, the search for them alive, must continue because as long as we don't know about the other 42 comrades, it can't stop. It is just a hypothesis that is not fully proven. We are lacking more conclusive proof that shows what happened to the comrades.
And we go to Peru now. Our correspondent Raul Morda was there at the Parallel Peoples Summit. The event aims to put pressure on the UN talks to save the environment by changing the economic system.
The People's Summit has started today with the motto, "Let's change the system and not the environment." This is a parallel conference to the COP20, where civil society organizations are coming together to agree on a platform, and with it, pressure authorities inside the COP20. In general, the difference is that organizations here are much more critical of capitalism as the source of the problem, and they claim that no reforms will be enough unless there are deep changes in the economic system. On Wednesday, there will be a demonstration called March in Defense of Mother Earth. Rael Mora, Telesur, Lima, Peru.
To Geneva now. The UN has called for a record $16.4 billion to fund aid projects next year. Almost half of the amount will be aimed at helping victims of Syria's drawn-out conflict. 2014 has been marked by a sharp rise in the number of people affected by violent conflicts, with 102 million people worldwide currently in need of aid.
Each year, we ask our donors for more and more funding for our appeals. But as needs rise, the resource gap is widening. Responding to people's suffering must be a shared responsibility, and there must be a determined collective effort through 2015 to close the growing gap between needs and resources.
This scenario cannot
And in the United States, the mother of a 12-year-old Cleveland, Ohio boy fatally shot by police last month says the officers involved should be criminally convicted. Tamir Rice was shot in a Cleveland park while carrying a replica gun. His death came at a time of heightened national scrutiny of police use of force, especially against African Americans. The family attorney spoke out against the shooting.
This scenario cannot happen again in America. This scenario cannot happen again in America. We cannot have children playing cops and robbers on the playground and police officers coming and claiming their lives because they are not equipped to deal with an encounter with a kid and a toy gun. They're supposed to de-escalate, not escalate a situation, and everything you see in that video escalated the situation.
Now to Israel. Lawmakers voted to pass an amendment to keep open a detention center for African migrants despite a high court order to shut it by December 22nd. The court found that holding some 2,000 migrants without trial violated rights to freedom and dignity.
כולל הסתייגות שהתקבלה, מי בעד, מי נגד? 23 מתנגדים, 3 נמנעים. אני קובע כי הצעת חוק למניעת הסתננות ולהבטחת יציאתם של הוראות שעה תשע"ה 2014 התקבלה כנדרש בשלוש קריאות והפכה לחוק. אנחנו נמתין בסבלנות עד שאחמד טיבי, חבר הכנסת
And in Syria, during the past 3 years, Israel has violated Syrian airspace more than 4 times. The latest violation targeted important military supply locations. We go now to our correspondent Nashwan Abdullah for more.
Israel has taken advantage of Syria's preoccupation with fighting terrorist organizations throughout its country to pursue its own political agenda.
We hope for a responsible response from the Syrian army against the enemy. Syria will stay strong and be victorious against any foreign intervention.
Syrian citizens are continuing daily life as usual, confirming that they will stand still, no matter what the enemy does, waiting for the right time to respond to this assault.
The main purpose for these airstrikes is to give Netanyahu more points in Israel's early elections. For us, we will stay resisting here in Syria, and we realize this imperial scheme.
The Syrian opposition sees that it's not strange for an entity such as Israel to do an aggressive actions against Syria, and did not find the government statement strong enough.
A sudden strike from Israel to Syria holds a lot of messages for the Syrian government and her allies. Came after many victories of the Syrian army on many fronts. Nashwan Abdullah, Telesur, Damascus, Syria.
Thanks to Nashwan. To end our world coverage tonight, we move to Palestine, where the health system there has fallen into an acute crisis. Noor Harazin has the story of hospital cleaning staff just walking off work.
The Gaza Strip's main medical complex, Shifa, and other public hospitals are facing a very serious problem after cleaning workers have completely suspended their work in protest against not having received salaries for around 7 months. Director of the Shifa Medical Complex, Dr. Nasser Tatar, said in a press release this afternoon that all wards, including the reception, the emergency room, and the intensive care unit, are full of garbage and floors are blood dirty. Tatar also warned of possible dangerous repercussions of this crisis on Palestinians' health conditions. Meanwhile, some doctors and nurses are volunteering to do some cleaning despite the fact that they themselves do not receive their salaries regularly. In addition, some of them haven't been paid for several months because they were hired by the former Hamas-run government. Now in Gaza, around 600 people in the coastal enclave cannot have medical operations done due to this strike. In addition, the Ministry of Health closed Al-Harazin Hospital in central Gaza, in eastern Gaza, due to this crisis. Noor Harazin, Telesu TV, Gaza.
Thanks to Noor. To finish off tonight, thousands of Guatemalans celebrated the start of the Christmas season in Antigua on Sunday. Every year on December 7th, people gather to watch the burning of the devil. The idea here is to burn all of the bad from the previous year and to start anew from the ashes. It is a tradition that hails back to colonial times as a way to cleanse homes from devils that lurk there. Plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English for Telesur English. I'm Cody Weddle. We'll see you again in the morning.